time of the week. Then again, sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress, in the house is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Carbs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Hey, here we going. How we going? Back for another one of these heat by heat rundown. We've got Paul Van Balen in the house who's just been windsurfing.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Benny, but I hope everyone is well out there. We've had another big day in the windsurfing world. The Aloha Classic.
Yes.
What do you reckon?
It's been good. We've had, just for anyone who doesn't know, obviously, single elimination has just happened in Whokeeper. Now, this isn't the final result. We have to clarify that. This is just the single elimination. They can do a double elimination, so things can change. The Aloha Classic title is up for grabs, very prestigious, but also the world title. And there has been movements in both of those things. Women's winner, Sarah Keita off ringer, looked in really good form. And I'm pretty sure she has that world title pretty much done and dusted now. Yeah. Maria Andras would need to come back, but even then, with Sarah Keita finishing second at worst, I think she takes the world title. So I think that's pretty much done and dusted. So the Aloha title is still up for grabs because someone could come back in the double elimination. Great performance from Coco. Really close with Maria Behrens in second and third. Did you see the podium from the women?
I didn't actually. Why? What happened?
I will show you the podium for the women because it was quite funny. I thought it was quite funny. Really? I don't know if anyone saw this, but we're gonna have a little play of this. Can you see that? Yeah, that's not finished. What's this? This is where the good stuff comes.
Oh, whoa!
This is like, you know, when you're not spending so much time on the podium.
That's awesome.
You got to laugh at that. That's like
everywhere.
So yeah, we like that. We like that. We like that.
I love it.
So that was the women's podium at the end of the competition. So good to see the young girls all up there. You know, we had quite a few older women who have been in the game a long time, challenging the young guns. But in the end, it was the young guns really that took the podium, and that is just a single elimination. We're going to go on to looking at the heats and also the men's final. Did you predict the right four guys for the final?
Well, there was a couple of them, but not all four. I think Antoine Martin I didn't have in my list, which I should have. But yeah, how did you go with your list?
I got three. I kind of went Ricardo over Kamiju Ban, which, you know, when we look at the finals, if you didn't watch the finals, it was super light once again. Like the wind was super light. So it didn't favor the Ricardo Campello. He needs a bit more wind in my experience. And, you know, Marsilio Brown, to be fair, he has struggled in that really light stuff because not that he's bad, but when you're against 60-kilo guys and they're outmaneuvering you, which when you're a heavier guy on a bigger board, it is hard. You've got a hard fight on your hands. So I think Brown, obviously one of, if not the best sailor, people might say in Whokeeper, he did well to make that final in those conditions. I think if we'd had more wind, it would have been a different story. Do we know the result? Did anyone know the result? Yes, Antoine Martin won the final, and again thoroughly deserved. Although Kamiju Ban looked like he was going to take it, he started off with a big wave. So without further ado, let's go and have a look at the footage. Now we need to address the elephant in the room. Anybody want to guess
what's that, big, Benny? What are you going to say?
Elephant is it was the quality of the live stream. It wasn't good, was it? They were having massive issues with the internet, I'm guessing. I have been there as a commentator, and it was hard to watch. I struggled through it, but it was hard. Now, I need to give you a bit of a caveat because the footage I'm going to show you is from that live stream, but it obviously it doesn't look so bad in the finals. So we're going to show you the finals. I'm not going to go through all the heats just because I wouldn't put you through it. I did cut them down, but they just didn't look right. So I just want to see how this works out. And this was obviously the results for that final. Antoine Martin, clear winner in the end. 8-4-3 kicked off that heat with that big wave score, and then an 8-5-3 as well. Bernd Rodiger, we saw 8-8-7. And then Kamiju Ban started off with an 8-6 something, I think it is as well. So they all had some big scores. Brown was the one guy who didn't get in the eights. And he was lucky Camille didn't get that backup wave, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting that Camille got 2 waves out of all that. Yeah. It's it was interesting to watch, wasn't it? It was such light wind. I mean, I have to say, Marsilio Brown, he did well considering that he's not a small guy.
No, not at all. This is what I took off the live stream. So you can see super light. You've got Bernd Rodiger, Camille Juban, Antoine Martin. They're probably all in the 60 kilo range, some low 60s, some high 60s, but they're all pretty much around about there, maybe touching 70, some maybe just about, but most of them are in that 60 kilo range. And then you've got Marsilio Brown. He's in the, higher 80 range, you would say. So it's definitely a big disadvantage. He's on bigger equipment, bigger boards. It did favor the smaller guys with the smaller boards, and they have to put less rail pressure on from what I can see. You can see Brown, he gave a good fight of it, but he was always up against it.
Yeah. I mean, for Brown, he basically had to get into the final to go for the world title, which he did, that's the other interesting part of today is the world title race.
Yeah, I mean, Brown, carry on.
Yeah, we've got a double that's still, to be played out. But at the moment, Brown, from what I can gather, is got the title lead. Is that where we're at?
Brown has overtaken Ricardo Campello. Campello didn't make the final, so Brown is now leading that world title race as far as I can work out. But it's not all over because Ricardo could come back in the double elimination. Antoine Martin has also gone up a bit. If Brown had made 4th in that, there was a chance even Antoine Martin could take it. But I think now with Brown making 3rd, he can't overtake Brown for the title. Yeah, so this is just basically the highlights of the final, just for people who are not, this first wave was from Bernd Rodiger. He's going a 6-6-3. You can see I put the scores at the top just to give you an idea how the heat went. And there's a really good exchange coming up with Antoine Martin and Camille Juban. And there's one moment in this final where Antoine Martin runs over a rock, but we miss it on the live stream. But I'll show you that in a second. I think it could be coming up. But this is one of the bigger waves, and there's some proper riding going on. It's not just a one trick wave. There is some actual riding going on. So that's one hit, one aerial tweet there behind the back from Camille, and then a late hit from Antoine Martin, and then a late hit from Camille, and then finishes off
waves.
Aerial.
That wave from Camille was super sick. Yeah,
I think that was, I should really just pull up the scores for that final just to make sure. Camille getting an 8-6 for that, Antoine Martin getting an 8-4.
Okay, yeah.
So
it was an interesting final.
How did you watch? You obviously watched it because I watched it with you.
Yeah.
But what did you think of the scoring? Did you see any glaring things that you thought,
Well, it was the tricky thing was that sometimes the camera would shuffle from one sailor to another, or you might get a lag or some choppiness in the stream. So it was a bit hard sometimes to get an accurate gauge if the ride was matching the score. You know, that was, I found that a little bit tricky.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was a bit tricky. And also it was, I don't know. It was a hard one, wasn't it? Because, you know, Brasinho was doing mainly goiters. The other guys were trying to do turns, and you're trying to work out what, you know, where the judges being generous with the scores, or, you know, were they preferring turns or goiters? Or
I think you could see from the scoring they wanted to see waves ridden. I mean, Robbie Nash, I thought was really good on the commentary. I enjoyed listening to him. Had some good insight, and I kind of agreed with a lot of the stuff that what Nash said about, you know, it is like a chess game. You're maneuvering, and that's half the battle. So when you're a bigger guy like Brasinho, it's a struggle. And for the lighter guys, the riding of the wave, it's just easier on smaller equipment. You know, obviously these are talented guys. I'm not saying, oh, just because they're light, that, you know, but it is an advantage over a bigger guy, especially when, you know, Brasinho's got 3 of these little guys out there and they're all out maneuvering him. So he is getting the second choice of waves because he isn't able to get in those positions. That's what I would notice anyway, you know. And we've seen it before in the Aloha Classic this time of year. We do have quite a few light days, and you know, there'll be people, I was just seeing a comment now saying this is ridiculous having, you know, competition in these conditions. It's called windsurfing. I'm a big fan of float and ride. It's just a different side to the sport, and there's different skills involved. And there's, like Robbie said, it's a chess game. There is stuff going on that you're probably not seeing when you watch it. Especially when you watch the stream as it was.
I mean, if you can ride out with the power of the wind and catch waves with the power of the wind, it's windsurfing at that point.
Yeah, this was a sick wave from Burnt, and we didn't see it because the stream was just so choppy at this point. I mean, that is literally, if you watched it live, it was worse because it kept pausing. But yeah, and that was, I think, his highest scoring wave, the highest scoring wave of the heat, I think, from Burnt Rodiger, 887. This is Antoine. That was sick. You know, one-handed, like full rail turn, carving off top, and then finishes with this goiter. Now, watch this. Keep your eye on Antoine Martin. He's holding on, and watch the rock. Watch the rock. Watch the rock. And then it cut.
Yeah. And this is what happens in live streams too, because, you know, in different countries, you employ different people to you know, obviously run the live streams, and there'll be someone behind an editing desk who is not necessarily a windsurfer, so they're not always understanding what people want to see. You know, it's that's the thing. You know, the editor's just there thinking, oh, well, that ride's over, I'll move on to the next person. Whereas any keen windsurfer's thinking, oh, what's going to happen? How's he going to handle that rock, or how are they going to? What's
one
that?
hand, like hand drag, like a hand plant turn on that first one.
Yeah.
Here's that rock thing again. Just watch how he must have sailed into or over that rock. Oh, you don't see it, but it's kind of crazy, man.
Yeah. Super tricky day. Super tricky day. It was cool to see Robbie Nash and Polakau on the commentary desk, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, really good. And, you know, give some insight from guys that have been there, done it. You know, I really do like that. I mean, great for them to offer their sort of insight into this sort of thing. And Robbie Nash was, you know, similar, saying the same thing. You know, want to see waves ridden, want to see big turns, and I think that's pretty much it. Brasinho didn't really have much choice. You know, he had to go for the big one-hit maneuvers because that's the only way he was kind of getting his speed. So, like now, that goiter is clean, it's in the flat, but it's just one maneuver. And they scored him pretty well for that, I thought, didn't they? It's like a 7-7-3. Was that?
That was the 7-7-3, wasn't it?
Or was that the 6-8?
Because I think that was the highest scoring one because he landed it so clean.
Yeah, I think
you're wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, so tricky.
I mean, it was long heats as well, like 27 minutes or something, which I think suited the conditions. It meant they had a chance of getting 2 set waves, which I think was good. Here's the rocks that I put this in because we talked about it the other day. You can see that kind of current pushing you past the rocks. But like I said, I found it a really interesting final. The stream did ruin it for me a little bit. Not a little bit, but and again, you have to realize, It was the internet connection, which was the problem. I'm sure of it. I don't know. And again, I'm not technical. I feel like they were still pushing out 1080. And I think maybe if they'd have just downgraded it, for me, it would have been better experience to watch it on lesser quality if it had helped the stream not buffering. I don't know if that would have fixed it. I'm sure they were on it. So, I mean, they don't need me saying something stupid like that. So maybe there was other problems. But I did feel like it was, the screen when it was coming through was really good quality. But I could have watched it on less quality if it have meant it had wouldn't have been buffering the whole time. Again, I'm not sure that would have changed anything, but it was very frustrating to watch. I have heard, though, you did say they were going to put the heats up full, no buffering, like straight from the cameras. Is that right?
Yeah. So apparently they have all the heats recorded, and it's obviously a huge file. So they're going to break it up into heats and final, and upload it onto the IWT YouTube. So you'll be able to watch it there.
Yeah, but that was a solid final. I think I would have loved to have commentated on that final, because I looked at the clock and like 3-4 minutes left to go. You looked at everyone's, it's only 2 waves to count, 27-minute heat, and they all had at least one really good scoring wave. So then it meant that the end of this final could come down to one wave at the end. So it was kind of really dramatic, apart from the stream being choppy. It kind of detracted from it. But, if someone had got a decent wave, Bernd got that right at the end. If it had been a decent set at the end of the heat, which it could have been, it was set to be pretty dramatic. In the end, obviously, Antoine Martin was the man who took the title, and I thought he really deserved it. He sailed really good. Bernd, I think, had a good chance as well. Needed another scoring opportunity. That was the final score. So Antoine Martin 1696. Pretty clear winner in the end with that 853, that goiter over the rock. Bernd Rodiger needed another good wave, needed another set wave. That last wave was a scoring wave for him. Didn't really up his score that much. A decent goiter. Brown, again, was pretty solid, but never really had as much. And then you have to say Kamiju Band got that first wave in nice and early, and then did what he usually does in Who Keeper, which was wait. And he just waited and waited and waited, and it didn't come. He didn't get the opportunity, and he's done that before, and he's got the score and he's got the opportunity and he's took it. But in that heat, he never found that kind of second set. You could see he only took 2 waves, made them both, but the third wave, which would have been his big score, which he was looking for, he never really found it. But it was again, if it had a really good stream, I would have loved to have commented on that final, because it was so close. All riders were still in it all the way till the end.
Yeah, and also I was also watching that Marsilio Brown, because he basically had to get third. If he were fourth, that's a big story on its own, isn't it? Yeah. He's potentially become, we'll wait and see. We've still got the double to go through, but the difference between fourth and third for him was either potentially being world champion again or not.
Well, so, again, it's going to depend what happens to Ricardo Campello in the double. Ricardo could literally rip through the double. The forecast doesn't look particularly great, but then I spoke to Ezzy, and he said it seemed to be quite hopeful of it. So that's an interesting one. But then we've also got Antoine Martin, who won it. So if Brown had finished his 5th and Ricardo 9th, which mathematically could happen, but it can't now, because, like you say, Brown finished 3rd. That world title for Antoine Martin was kind of still on. I think it's off the table now, but he could move up and get 2nd, which would be huge. And then you look back to Fiji, when all that, melee happened with him being in the final and shouldn't have been there, but there was, like, with the jet ski and all that sort of stuff. We won't go into that, but that has a massive effect as well. So there was quite a lot of stuff that's happened this year. Antoine Martin has had a good year. He won Peru, even though it wasn't a 5-star event. And now he's won the single in the Aloha Classic. And as we know, to come back in the double is not easy. In Who Keeper, with all these riders in the mix, I would say it's even harder. So Ricardo's got a task on his hands to get himself back into it, because I think if he was to lose now in the double, he would drop to third place, which, you know, for him coming in, well, he could do, yeah. You know, Antoine's winning, so he moves right up the rankings. So it depends on how well he does in the double to whether he can, you know, get second or maybe come through to still take that world title. It's definitely not over. So the double is very interesting.
Have we worked out, or have you worked out where, so with this double, how many places Ricardo needs to go up the ladder to secure the title?
Well, if he comes back and beats Brown, then he's got the title.
Yeah, but I mean, does he have to go that far? So if he, for example,
there's too many ifs and buts. It's like, you know, if he gets up to fifth and then Brown loses, you know, maybe that's enough, actually. But again, it all depends. It really depends on what happens. But the easiest way for him to look at it is if he can come back and beat Brown, it's done.
Of course.
Otherwise, he has to rely on someone beating Brown.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, because if Capello in his next heat loses, does that mean, and then Brasinho loses against the challenger, does Brasinho get the title?
There's too many connotations. I haven't worked them all out.
Yeah,
maybe someone at home has. We should have like a little spreadsheet thing where we put in the little bits. One day we'll be on. And also there's different points for single and double, and you know, it is confusing for the guy at home. It is confusing, especially for the overalls. Because it's not as simple as like a point system. So it does change things. The best way to do it is to be kind of doing it during the commentary as we go along, so we work it out straight away. But yeah, I mean, for Ricardo, he's got to fix his sights on getting back and beating Brown. Then it's in his own hands. Yeah.
So that's going to be fascinating. Although there is a rumor going around that the double may or may not be live streamed.
Really? Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh God.
So we'll see. We'll wait and see if that's the case. But
let's hope not, because I think the double could be the most exciting to watch. You know, there's going to be. I mean, and what would be great is if they, you know, that obviously I was expecting them filming the double, but and then they do a good job in the double. Maybe they sort the signal out with the Starlink, because I have seen the setup. They've got a Starlink, but I have heard it was overloading or something was happening. Again, I'm not a very technical person, but I would suggest they just got to lower the input from the stream, like just downgrade it to 720 or something. I think it would have. I personally, in my experience, that could have fixed it. I don't know, or maybe the encoder needs changing. I don't know. There's a few things, but there's technical guys in it. I mean, everyone's very critical of live stream, and I've been there and I've been with these guys, and they all know their shit. The guys that are involved with all this are super tech. So don't think that you guys at home and me are offering these suggestions and they haven't thought of them. I can tell you now, they are going through everything to try and fix these problems. But like I said, the one thing I noticed was it was still putting out 1080. And I kind of think that might have been adding to the issue, but let's
well, we might find out more in the coming days about that. But so anyway, the double, we'll wait and see if we.
Well, there is at the end. Sorry, at the end of this highlight clip, there is some highlights from the earlier rounds, which I thought I'd just leave on. Okay. Again, I'll play them. I haven't really watched them, but I think there'll be some interesting stuff, because obviously we had some big rounds before the final.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. No, there was actually a lot of. I mean, the heats were so stacked that it was actually interesting each heat.
Yeah, this was Rodiger's last wave. I mean, it was pretty decent last wave, but not a set wave. And you know, if that had been a set wave, we might have seen him sneak up on Antoine Martin. Obviously, it didn't happen. Antoine Martin wins that single elimination. Brown, I will say, I would love to look at all Brown scoring waves at this event. I think a lot of them have just been goiters, and that's not having a go at him. I feel like he kind of turned into a goiter machine because of the conditions and the wind and, you know, what he was kind of able to do. Because we've all seen the videos. We know what he's capable of. He can ride decent waves. But with this wind and the equipment maybe he's on, it's a bit bigger than the other guys. I think it does sort of handicap him a little bit just because he's bigger.
Oh, of course it would. No, he did so well to get that far.
Yeah,
I think I was pretty skeptical. Yeah, in the semis, there was a real chance of him not making it through, I thought, but he did what he needed to do.
Yeah, that was a good wave. I mean, behind Brasinho, you know, that was a decent looking wave, that one. That moment for me, that was pretty sick as well. That was kind of a missed time, but then managed to squeeze it up and find that little pocket, I would say. Well, not a missed time, but you know what I mean? It was like right on it. He couldn't have done any better. I thought that was quite a nice opening wave. I don't even think it was a scoring wave for Bernd, but I liked it.
Sailing so well, wasn't he? He was so relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, Brasinho's got those goiters down. You can see it, but he couldn't really do the full turn because then he wouldn't have had the speed and he wouldn't have made the sections.
And also, you know, I had the feeling that he was doing that just to get some solid scores on the board. He probably knew it'd be obviously better to have a wave with more turns and all that, but at least he had a few decent scores on the board, you know.
Yeah. I'm just looking at Billy saying to pull a clean goiter in a mostly apparent wind is pretty skilled. There's no, you know, and Robbie Nash, I think, said the same thing, you know, reading in between the lines. It's not like not doubting the skill. There's definitely big skill, but it's not a wave riding skill. It's a trick skill off a section, which is equally hard. And it all depends on what the judges are looking for. But there was guys riding waves, again, smaller guys, yes, smaller equipment, yes, but they were finding 3 sort of hits, and that is usually always going to score more than one big hit, even if it is, you know, difficult. And that one was pretty smart. That goiter landed right in front.
Yeah, the wind was so light that when you saw them going down the line, you'd sometimes see the sails actually almost backwinding.
Yeah.
Which I thought, you know, if anyone wave sails, trying to impress the judges while you're going down the line backwinded.
it was pretty rough, man. It was pretty rough. You could see they're all like, look at that. You
see the sail? You see how it was just feathering backwinded then? Yeah. Well, at least they had better waves today. That was a sick turn.
Looks like Bill's going on the agenda with the air. Like I said, they're not criticizing the air. The air is epic. But when you do 2 turns and the goiter, it's not a question, is it? You know, it's going to be a better scoring wave. Whereas if you're just using the wave to get the speed to do the trick, the judges are never going to score that as good as doing proper turns and then the trick.
You see that editing, how just as he hits the wave, they change camera angles as well.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
And also, you've also got to remember, if you look at WSL, you're saying that surfers are doing one-trick airs, but if you look at the comments from surfers, they are fully against it. You know, there's almost uproar that is, you know, the way it's going. So, you know, there's different approaches and different thoughts on it. Again, there's no wrong or right. Everyone's got their opinions, and judges usually will say at the beginning of the day what they think they're looking for. You know, I'm pretty sure they want to see vertical turns. But if you do a vertical turn and miss the rest of the wave, it obviously wouldn't have been the right choice to do a vertical turn. You've got to do what the wave's allowing you to do. They want to see you ride the wave. So that makes a big difference to the wave. You know, you might have to do a shallower bottom turn, a higher line to make a section, to do an air, to make the next section. And that's what the judges are looking for, how you use the wave, not just use, you know, the wave to do one trick and miss the rest of it because you do something.
Bob Brereton has offered us some help with the title race, the men's title race. PWA side, in the event Capello finishes 5th, the scenario is the same, with Brown needing to finish at least 2nd and ahead of Paré. If Capello were to finish 6th, a top 3 for Brown wins.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So that okay, that answers it. If Campello gets through his heat, gets up to at least 6, Brown has to win a heat.
Yeah.
You know, he can't lose in the double. So it's definitely all open, and it's not totally closed if, you know, Campello doesn't beat Brown. You're basically going to have to run this through as it's happening, because there's going to be different ways it can play out. But it's definitely not a conclusion.
Is there a heat draw for the double that's online yet?
There probably should be. I can probably work it out. I'll have to have a little quick look.
I'm just going onto the website.
It's a bit different because it's an IWT event effectively, so it's not the usual PWA. That was pretty sick from Ricardo. These are some of the early round highlights, just in case you are tuning in. Well, I've just finished. But yeah, if you are just tuning in, I see there's a few more people tuning in now. Obviously, Aloha Classic has finished. Antoine Martin wins the single. Second place, Bernd Rodiger. Third place, Marsilio Brown. Fourth place, Camille Juban. So, you know, Brown might end up having to beat Camille coming back through the double, which would be hard if it's light again. You know, not an easy one. Who knows how we're going to work out. At the moment, Marsilio Brown would be the world champion if it finished now, as far as I'm aware. In the women, Therakita won the single. Coco Favreau in second place, really close with her and Maria Behrens. We'll go on to that final in a minute. Yeah, Maria Behrens again, third place on the podium, but not guaranteed podium because of this double elimination. Coco has guaranteed herself another podium. She was third in Fiji, so she's having a good year and really good account of herself. So yeah, it's been, and Sarah Kita, if it finishes now, will win the world title. And I think she might have already guaranteed it because she's guaranteed top 2.
This is where I'm a bit confused though, Ben, because Ricardo came third in the semi.
Yeah.
So if we had no double, would that be classed as a 5th?
6th. Oh, sorry, a 5th. Yeah, 5th. But it's a 5th in the single. So you're equal with 4 of the riders, aren't you? Yeah, 4 of the riders.
Oh, okay. So that's, but that's still classed as 5th.
No, but the points are different from 5th in the single because you're sharing 5th place with 4 of the riders, as far as I know. Although with the 4-man heat, maybe it is a little bit different. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is different in the 4-man heats, because in a normal one, it's man on man. So you have 4 equal 5th place. But actually in this, if you finish 3rd, you're only equal with 2 other riders, because then you have an equal 7th as well. And then the next one's 9th. Yeah, because there's less people. That's actually interesting. I never thought of that, because we don't usually do 4-man heats very often.
Okay. Well, the only reason I ask is because if we have no double and Campello is classed as coming 5th, then he will have won the title race because Brasinho came 3rd and he needs to be 2nd.
Again, yeah, maybe, because we need to work out the points again, because they are different. It's a bit confusing for me, and I do this a lot, but I find it pretty confusing with the double points and the single points. It needs to be worked out. I've always said, and I've been doubling down on this, I want the PWA, as soon as we have a counting result at the end of the day, then the overalls should update automatically, because whatever happens the next day, if there's no wind, even if there's competition, the result from that night would be still relevant. You know what I mean? So if now we have a counting result, the overalls should update with the current point system. And then as soon as we have another counting result, let's say they do a few more heats in the double, they press update and the overall update. And so it's constantly updating every day. And then you know exactly where you stand. I don't like this. We only update at the very end of a competition. It doesn't make sense to me. And it's the same in racing. After every day's competition, the overalls should update from the overalls from that day. It makes sense, because if there's no competition the next day and that's it for the comp, that would be the result anyway.
Yeah, so no, it's interesting. It's creating a bit of drama. I mean, in the women's, we're pretty sure that Sarah Kita has got that one wrapped up, but in the men's, it's really quite open at the moment.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows something that we don't, please share it with us. But we're a little bit unsure of which way this is going to go at the moment. But we have heard there's going to be a double elimination. So we assume that's going to happen.
But we also have heard a rumor, by the sounds of it, that there might not be live streaming the double, which, if that happens, I will, for one, be absolutely gutted, because I was really hoping they could sort the internet out and the double could be like, okay, they've made it up to us now. They've sorted the internet out, because internet is not always, someone's problem. Like I said, I've done the live stream for years and had all the abuse, and I've seen how hard the people are working behind the scenes, and sometimes it's just totally out of your control. So yeah, it definitely can be frustrating. So I would love for them to unfrustrate me by having a great double elimination live stream with hopefully good internet, which could be, I'd be, like I said, I'd be happy. I'm going to put the women's on just so we can see the final. Again, I've just gone through it. I've put the full scores on the top. Now, something happened at the beginning of the women's to Shauna Kroppers. I'm not quite sure what happened, but she only got one score, and you could see her swimming in. So I don't know if she injured herself or something like this.
Yeah, I noticed that. Maria has... She's done well, hasn't she, in the last few events? She's just all of a sudden just up there with the top women. And also Coco as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they had some tough opposition in these heats, so really good to see. Like, this will spur Maria on as well, because she is pretty new to the scene. She's young, she's wanting to get a sponsorship, up there, and the prize money for these events, it's equal for men and equal for women, so it won't be nothing. There'll be some half decent prize money, and now the brands that support her will be like, okay, she is doing the job here. And it's going to be very interesting to see the overall women's results. We're talking about Sarah Keita winning the world title, fair enough, but what about second and third? Because they're being on the podium is massive. I always hear the guys in Aloha talking about, the Aloha champion. Yeah, brilliant. It is good. It is prestigious, yes. But there's also a world title on the line, which for me is obviously bigger. The world title is bigger, and being on the podium in that world title race is huge. We don't discount second and third in the world title race. And it's been a full-on year with lots of good events. And this would be an amazing year to be on that podium, to go, Fiji, and these type of events. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it definitely has been a good year, hasn't it? There's been some iconic moments this year. All in all, I know that there's been question marks about some of the live streams, or some of the events, with the wins and so forth. But it's been a long time since we've had a year with this many good wave events.
The thing is, let me just address that. The live stream, the reason there's the issues with the live stream is because they are at beaches in the middle of nowhere. They have got the Starlink that everyone tells about, but it's not totally infallible. You can have problems. And again, I have been there when you have got some of the smartest brains in the room on the case, and they still can't figure it out because it's totally out of their control. You do all the testing, you do everything's working absolutely fine. You go live, or everyone turns up to the beach on that day and there's interference, or there's something that's not helping, and it's quite heartbreaking, because a lot of money and time and effort go into these events, and when the live stream's not good, or the internet's not good, the live stream is good, the internet's not good, it just totally undoes all that good work and all that great outward media, especially for the hardcore crew that are staying up to watch it. It's quite frustrating.
Yeah, and they were using a Starlink as well, so you would have thought that they would have had a good internet connection. We've got Maciek Rukowski here talking about world champions. We have a world champion here with us, and he's working out the points. So he's saying you're sharing fifth with two other people. I did the math this morning.
Okay.
Fiji had 4-man heat, so you can just take the points from there. And then he goes on to say, for the single elimination, that is, and the double elimination scenarios on the PWA site being quoted here already. And it says, as it stands now, Ricardo would be on 23,192 and Brasinho at 23,368.
Yeah, so Brown.
So thank you, Maciek.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Brown gets it at the moment, but as soon as things change in the double, it's all bets are off, I would say.
God, it's interesting, isn't it?
And obviously, we're watching the women's highlights here. Look how close the Coco Vavo and Maria Berens came down to the last wave, I think, from Coco, is what got her that win. Until then, Maria Berens was looking like a guaranteed podium because she would have finished in second. And she had some nice long waves in this, a lot of sort of maybe not vertical turns, but lots of turns and just riding the wave really nicely. Favreau at the end of this has a really good crack, which is what did it in the end. And she's going to guarantee, like I said, another podium. So 2 podiums in 1 year. Berens could get 2 podiums in 1 year. She just got podium at Silt and maybe again in Maui, but she's going to have to defend that in the double elimination. But that was a decent hit from Coco.
Yeah.
We've got Oliver saying you need to get a backup internet with satellite. And it comes down to money. You might think on its own, you think, oh, it's only a couple of thousand or whatever that might be. But on top of everything else, it's like, these are not massive events. You've got to remember, there's not hundreds of thousands tuning into the live stream. There's, let's be honest, 1,000, maybe. It's hard to justify the cash. And you would think the Starlink would do the job, and they probably did all the tests, and it did totally fine. And the weird thing was it was working until you put more information on the screen. When it was doing like the interviews or the wobbling around where there wasn't much movement, it actually was fine. It was not glitching. And then as soon as you got movement or more data coming in, that's how it felt like. It was struggling with it somehow. So again, I'm not a technical person. But
and the day before, I seem to remember it being pretty glitch free.
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes it's not easy to fathom.
Christian's asking, talking of brand support, why was Sarah Keita on old equipment? Did her stuff not arrive? I have no idea.
It might be she's on bigger equipment, maybe. Again, I don't know. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe she borrowed a bigger sail from someone, maybe one of their old. I really am just guessing at this point. I saw that Bernard Rodriguez was on a 4.9, which for him at 8 kilos or something like that, probably 60 something. He's on a 75-litre board, if I remember, from Fiji, and a 4.9. So it's pretty light. Brasinho must have been on what, 5.6, 5.5, 5.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
I would imagine if Burnt was on a 4.9.
Yeah, no, Ezio was on a 5.5.
Yeah, Ezio was on 5.5. So it's pretty big stuff for these guys anyway, in terms of wave riding.
Yeah, Martin is asking the question, any news about event spots next year? The IWT will announce it when they're ready. The plan is to go to pretty much the same spots that they did this year, with maybe 1 or 2 extra spots if it goes to plan.
Yeah.
So they'll announce it.
Sorry, just looking at Sarah Keita riding this, she's getting some decent turns in and then lines it up for the last section. 3-turn wave. That's what they want to see. They want to see wave riding, and it's difficult. You see how close she is to the rock there. When I was explaining the other day, that river now kind of pushes you past over the rocks, but these little bits of white water, you can end up getting that. It looks like it's quite high tide, and you can end up getting washed on the rocks just really bad, like for no reason at all. But you see how quickly the river kind of pushes you past.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, just seeing Bill's comment about bigger gear. Sarah Keita would have been on bigger gear as well than probably a few of the other girls, and she definitely made it. Well, didn't show any negative signs of it.
Yeah, talking about the double as well, I saw this comment from Billy. So the swell forecast for the coming days is not good, with smaller waves and Sunday light winds again too.
Yeah, but they say Maui's very difficult to predict because some days just get massive acceleration for no reason, it looks like. So Again, I'm not an expert on Maui, but I do know from what we saw in the previous days, there was more wind than today, and some of the forecasts look lighter. So it's very difficult to take that forecast seriously, because I think as long as it's from the right direction, there's every chance. Will it be properly windy? No, I don't think so. But should it be windier than today? Probably.
I've just gone back on that video because while you're talking, Sarah Keita, she had, oh, whoops, where have I gone? Have I lost it? Apologies for that. I was trying to rewind that video, but Sarah Keita was riding a wave then, and this might be it. She got a great ride on this. She got about 3 or 4 good turns.
Yeah. She had a solid heat. 2 7-point rides. I mean, she smashed the final. There was no doubt about who was the best woman in that final. Second and third super close between Coco and Maria, but definitely the winner, Sarah Keita, with 7.50 and a 7.33, pretty much smashed it.
Yeah. No, but there weren't many waves like that today where you could actually get 4 turns. So that was a good wave that she found there.
No, I think, like I said, in terms of watching, let's ignore the quality of the stream and the internet and stuff. But in terms of the sailing, riding, float and ride, tactical, close, I think it definitely had it all. I think it would have been again, with a good internet, it would have been one of the better finals I've seen in terms of closeness in both the women and the men.
Yep. So if there's no live stream with the double, I guess we're going to have to go to, well, I guess in your experience, Ben, the PWA website, if that's, I guess, the best place
the difference is it's a lot different this year because it's basically IWT and PWA joining together. Now, they're not joining in terms of everything's going through one thing. They're still doing separate events. It's just the scores are counting. So this is technically an IWT event with a bit of PWA input, but it's essentially an IWT run event. So you can see the scoring's different, the way it's the live scoring, everything's kind of different. When the PWA do it, it's a different system. Fiji was an IWT event. Pozo was a PWA event, let's say. Silt. Oh, that was a nasty crash there from Coco. Yeah. Silt was a PWA run event. So yeah, there is differences, even though the scores are going towards the same kind of world champion, let's say. So I think in terms, in terms of what events we've had this year and credibility on the tour, I think it's been epic. For the viewer, for me as a fan at home, it's been a bit disjointed about how to follow it, updates. It's just a different system that I'm probably not used to. The IWT is a bit different to the PWA. Oof, there we go. There was that crash at the end from Coco. So, I mean, that I'm going to say, so let's sum up the year because this is the last event. I've watched a few events because obviously I haven't been to all of them. I would say my biggest gripe with this year was the communication. I think the IWT have done a really good job, but the communication, knowing where it was going to come from. I think that as a fan, someone following, because I know this, because I get so many emails of going, Ben, what's going on? What's happening? And it's like, I'm like, where do I look? Because I'm used to looking at the PWA. So then I look at the IWT, but then I realize a lot of the updates are on Instagram stories, which is fine if you look at Instagram stories. But if you're not on Instagram, or you don't look at Instagram, or you are looking at Facebook, or you're looking at website. And I know this again from Windsurfing.TV and my own channels. There's so many different channels, YouTube and all this stuff. It's difficult. It's difficult to know where to look, or which one to update. You update one and then you haven't updated the others. So it's like, I get a message on one and I forget where the message is.
And talking about bad connection, I just had a bad connection again. Apologies about that.
Okay. I was on a rant anyway, so I missed it.
No, good.
Did you have one of these?
I don't know. I couldn't see it. When it cuts out for me, my screen goes black. So I'm not sure if I did. Yeah. No.
Yes,
So
I think there we go. Like Bill said, I couldn't even find it on Instagram. I think, I think taking it away, like feedback, I think from home would be that. Like, and I think there should be a PWA, IWT official message board, like where all the calls are made, like the live ticker the PWA has got, somewhere where you can go that's solid. You don't need social media because not everyone has social media, and it is updated. And when that's updated, it sends updates to everywhere else, because it feels like that's the only thing for me. What's missing is just communication. And I know it's not easy. Again, I'm definitely not being negative here. It's just as someone looking in, those type of things are really key to know when the live stream starts, when the competition's on, what's happening, what's the next call, should I bother staying up for another hour, is it going to start? You need to know those things. Otherwise, you get bored, you go and do something else.
Yeah, I think from everyone's comments and these discussions, there's obviously still a few things to sort out when it comes to the media live stream side of these things, isn't it? There's a few bits and pieces to iron out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's basically what we're saying. It's a start, but there's room for improvement.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard. Yeah, sorry, I was going to say also, my experience in Fiji, floating on a boat in the middle of the sea in rain and wind and people throwing up and sailors shouting and everything. It's a wonder it happens at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes
that is the thing Fiji. You don't notice at home is what is being done behind the scenes. I think it's really easy to sit at your computer, and I've done it as well as a viewer from the events I'm not at, going, what they're doing. And then my brain kicks in and goes, Ben, you've been there. You know what's happening. There's people running around trying to fix stuff. There's obviously putting out fires, theoretical fires that are happening. And there's a lot going on. And there's never enough people to do all these things. And it's not as easy as getting more people, because more people need more direction and more complicated, and logistics is not as easy as you think. But I think the small thing is having some way of just, total, like we have WhatsApp groups now. It seems to be a big thing in competitions, the WhatsApp group, all the sailors join it. It's almost like that WhatsApp group should be the notice board, almost like someone should be updating in the notice board. And it could be from home. It could be some viewers that, tune in and watch all the time, like they have on forums, like they have people that are curating, or whatever the word is. And they could help keep this kind of information flowing, because it does take people and volunteers to make these things happen.
Yep. No, it's going to be interesting next year to see if we can solve, or the windsurfing world can solve it, because there's no one person that looks after it. You go to different events, there's different people involved, and that's also adds complication. If you had one team that just traveled around the world to each event and they all knew what they were doing, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a money side of thing, and
like social media as well. Now, someone who's got Windsurfing.TV, there's World of Windsurf, there's what's Nico Preen's one, Windzone. There's different ones around there, which, if let's say the IWT and PWA said it's on and collaborated, when you do a collaboration post with certain profiles, those guys like me can just accept it. Because when you've got to, repost it on Instagram, it's a nightmare. It's just not an easy way to do it. Whereas these collab posts now, you just press a button and the same post appears on your feed. So there could be a really good way to be able to just network this communication where it just goes bang to all these different ones. Yeah. And it's a bit more seamless, because at the moment it's quite clunky. And I'm just as bad for it. When it's on, if I'm going live, I've got to make a post, and it's just hard. If I've just got to accept something that someone else has done once and everyone else has to do the same, that network can just go bang, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. That's low hanging fruit, just easy things they're cheap and they're very effective for very little effort. That's what windsurfing has to look at first. Before we get into the overly complicated things, we've got to look at what is giving you the best bang for buck. Yeah, and like what you just said then is an incredibly easy way to drive viewers to whatever it is you're trying to drive them towards.
Yeah.
And like some of those Facebook and Instagram groups, like World of Windsurf, they've got over 100,000 or plus fans.
Yeah.
So and there's multiple of these sites. WindZone, Windsurfing.TV. Obviously, it's you. There's quite a few with 50, 60, 100,000 fans. So you join them all together. There's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of people.
Like I said, it's not. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're doing all these things, and I know they're in the midst of it, that kind of little detail, which is a little detail for them, gets missed. But it's a massive detail for everyone trying to follow the stuff. It's huge. It's really huge. So yeah, there we go. I mean, are they even listening? Probably not. But at least we've aired the views.
I'm actually just reading more of the comments here. Yeah, there's a few people with a few ideas. What have we got here?
I need to just, before you read this, ideas, and I'm one of them who comes up with some good ideas, I would say, but ideas are easy. Ideas are so easy. Criticizing, commentating is easy relatively, but doing is massively different. And I need to give a heads up for the PWA, IWT, the riders. It's a massive decision they made this year to do what they did. They knew there was going to be problems because it was kind of like a last minute, but they knew they needed to do it to move forward. They knew there was going to be problems. They were ready for it. They were kind of like, look, this is not going to be smooth, but we need to just do it. And then we just, we get to the end of this year, we look at what happened and we move forward and try and fix little problems. And again, I know this from stuff I've done with Windsurfing.TV. If you procrastinate and look at how to do it perfectly, sometimes you just never do it. And like our podcast, for example, we're just
perfect.
We're just doing it and then just adapting. We've had to sack off the quiz because it was shit. No one was enjoying it.
Our quiz was so bad we had to drop it.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like sometimes you just got to do it and stop overthinking it and then just adapt. But you've got to be open to adapt. You can't get too we can't start going, yeah, but the quiz was really good and get all butthurt about it. It's like, but people don't like it.
We just assume that people are actually enjoying this.
Yeah. Well, again, you've got to just go with what the audience say and look at evaluate it fairly and go.
I agree, Benny. We're going to let the people speak, and the people have spoken because look, Ben, we want to be the CEO.
Yeah, I'd be a terrible CEO. I can just about.
I don't think you'd be a terrible CEO. Benny, I think we can all agree that Benny needs to be taken right to the top. Right to the top.
I'll be honest, I've been offered loads of type of roles, and I'm like to come to meetings and this, and I'm like, look, that's not me. If you want to have a little discussion and some ideas, fine. But I know how much I'm capable of in my life, and I'm literally at critical mass right now. I can literally just about do this podcast. My brain is not capable.
I could see you wearing a suit and sitting in boardrooms, having meetings and solving all of windsurfing problems. Oh, this is cruel from Max. He said, "Can Ben spell PWA?" That's cruel.
Yeah, that's easy.
Benny? Let's check. PA, is it?
PW. No, PV. No, I don't know. Lost it.
PVW. Yeah. Oh, look, here we go. If it was perfect, it wouldn't be as fun. That is a good attitude, Hell Sales. I like it.
It's
fun in the imperfection.
I would agree with that. I genuinely, in my head, don't like perfection. It makes it feel fake because I know it's not real.
That's right. That's not us, is it, Benny? We're far from perfect.
Hey, there we go. Someone loved the quiz, mate.
Have they? The quiz is back on.
The quiz
Let's
is
have a
back
look
on.
at. I love the quiz. Thank you, Speed Quest Windsurfing. See, not everybody hated it. We will, yeah. I think maybe in the future, as we feel inspired, we can throw a few little quiz questions in just to mix it up a bit.
Yeah. See, the Olympics, they don't want me. I'm too controversial, I think. They've got their own stuff. They have asked me a few times, but it's never really come to anything. They've got these sailor commentators that they prefer. I think I could make it more exciting though if I'm.
Well, what do you mean they want? Oh, they want you for commentating.
We have talked a few times about doing some stuff, but in the end, they haven't done it. I did it once, I think, in Silver Planner, which was quite exciting. I thought.
So who is going to commentate the IQ windsurfing?
It'll be some sailor. It's like they've got this sailor commentator, and they usually get like a Olympic medalist to sit with them. But that's just kind of how it is. I kind of, what I would love is if I could have like the rights to be able to, and I've thought about this, have that stream on the channel and do like a alternative commentary. I think it would be kind of fun. But with the Olympics, as soon as it's so many rights and people pay millions and billions and whatever to get the rights, they don't let you do it. So it's a shame, because for windsurfing and a small sport like this, they should be giving it out to the people in the industry to do this, because they would get way more viewers and the sponsors would get way more interest from all these little kind of extra spin-offs. It's a shame they don't see the how big that could be, because it could be, within the sport, I'm saying.
Yeah. Tanel, I think that's how I pronounce your name. There's cross-platform social media management tools to propagate information from one place. Maybe something worth looking at.
Yeah, it definitely needs something like that. And someone needs to prioritize it, because even though it seems like a small thing and everyone's like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. No one does it, and it hasn't been done. And there should be a way to put it all together. Do you want to do that? Maybe someone listening to this could go, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to be the guy that saves the day. But you can't just suggest an idea. And that's kind of what I'm guilty of, suggesting an idea. Someone has to go through and implement it, because that's the hard bit. It's like the ideas. I've come up with $1 million businesses lots of times, but that's not the hard bit. The hard bit is doing it. It's the same with a move. You can invent a move in your head. It's very easy, but you've got to go and do the move. That's not the hard bit, is inventing.
Have you mentioned that idea to the social media people at the PWA? Have you? Which
one?
Well, the idea about when they're putting information out, that they're putting that collaboration. Have you?
It can't be a new idea. It's hardly rocket science, is it? I think.
Well, but you're saying it's not happening, or it is happening sometimes.
Well, it's a good point. I think, I guess someone needs to make it. I think someone just needs to prioritize it. I think it's always been talked about, but it's, there was a talk, years ago, because the biggest problem I had with a live stream is sometimes, and this goes with other live streams, I don't even know they're on. So if I know they're on, I'm like, I might watch it. So I was kind of thinking there needs to be some sort of PWA app that everyone downloads. And it would just be like a notification app, because YouTube doesn't seem very good at it. So it needs to be like this app, which would, and it just literally could be a notification thing. And I don't know.
That's
again,
cool. That's
the ideas are easy. The ideas are easy. Someone needs to basically go to people and go, here's an app. I've done it for you. It's yours. Does someone own an app company or something that could just do it?
But that's why, Ben, you should CEO of PWA. Yeah, Ben, you come up with a lot of good ideas.
And it's a horrible job. I'd rather be a dictator.
Yeah, but we'll make you dictator. Like, I think everyone will be happy to have you as dictator. See, that's the thing. I think dictatorship is fine if you've got a good leader, and I think we can all agree that you'd be a good leader, Benny. So
Terrible leader. I'm a terrible person. I'm more an ideas person. Just
that's all right,
use
Benny.
me for my ideas.
We'll just have some people under you that just kind of, make the decisions, but you just sort of, you're like an overlord.
Whatever happens, just don't write long emails to me. That's my hey.
Oh, we won't bother you with emails. You just sit there. You just come up with an idea, and then you tell everyone to just go do it, and then you go sit back on your throne at PWA headquarters at wherever you.
Actually, Sarah Jackson has been very good since she's come into the social media role recently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So I think if you basically told her this, she would be on it. So
good point. No, I think it's a really good question. I'll certainly tell IWT, and now I've come into contact with Sarah Jackson too. So maybe you'll mention it, but I'll mention it too. I think it's a great idea. I heard what I got here. Maddie Claire, if it's on YouTube, I thought you could do reaction videos as long as you add by making comments. Reaction videos.
Yeah, but it's like for example, it's like the Premier League football. There's reaction videos, but they can't play the Premier League. It's owned by the Premier League, so you can't put it on YouTube. Certain things you can, but the Olympics is one. As soon as you put it on there, basically YouTube just block it. I had it last time because I thought I could screen share it and do some alternative commentary. And in the end, we had to do alternative commentary without the video on the channel. So if you wanted it, you had to watch the Olympics and then play us on the side, which worked, but it's just a bit clunky.
Had a few comments here about us being Roy and HG. Do you know who Roy and HG is?
No.
They're not the guys from the
Muppets, is it?
No. The Roy and HG, it's probably only Australians are going to know who they are, but they're two sort of comedian style guys that did a lot of commentating at the Olympics, but they became really famous in the Sydney Olympics because they hosted a show where it was like a comedy show. Anyway, some people here think we're funny, so that's
I heard some Irish guy commenting on like the lasers or something like that, and it was that was kind of funny. It was just basically going it was like like the Aussie Man Reacts or whatever his name is, like whatever.
It's the Australian humor. They just like to not to take things too seriously. It's and see how far they can take it. So not only are you going to be the head of the PWA, they're also recommending you president in Portugal.
They obviously don't know me very well. I'm useless.
Oh, look, it's another vote for the quiz. Long drive to work and listen to the quiz in the car. So
really, so the quiz is coming back. It's coming back strong. The quiz. Yeah.
So look, anyway, so I guess the event has been multifaceted. We've got a women's world champion, Sarah Keita. We're yet to find out what happens and who wins the title. We know that, Antoine has won the single elimination, but we're still not 100% sure who's going to be the world champ. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And you've also you've come up with some great ideas for next year with social media. It's worth talking about. These sort of things, you talk about it in private. I'm sure everyone listening here, if they have windsurfing friends, you sometimes, wouldn't it be good if they did this or did that? I think it's good as a community to share it, to air it.
So
especially
maybe there could be a notice board where people can add their suggestions and they get ticked off or crossed or something. Some people have got good ideas, and you do have to remember a lot of the ideas it's not that they haven't been thought about or haven't been tried before. So sometimes you might feel like, why don't they do this? And they might have already tried it, or there's a reason why they can't do it, or it's money a lot of the time for certain things. But there will be a few that slip the net, which could improve things, I think.
I think where it gets a little bit confusing too now is there's just so much going on as far as the technology, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, apps, and sometimes it's a bit bewildering to know where to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking from where I'm sitting. You know, you go, where do you find the information? Some people say to me, "Oh, you got to go to Facebook," and other people, "Oh, you got to go to YouTube and this
Be a
and that." So I
website.
think that what's that?
It should be a website for me.
A
Like
website.
you should have, and again, the people who have been good on this over the year, and they've had some stick and stuff, but I do like in terms of the live ticker that is on the PWA website. You do know if a PWA event is on, you know exactly what is happening. It's very rare
Well,
that you don't know what's happening. You know, and that's, I think the IWT could do something similar to that. Maybe doesn't need to be as involved as a live ticker, but there should be a place on a website which you don't need to be social media, you don't need to be, which says exactly what is going on, or some sort of, it could be a stream where it's just constantly updated if, you know, whatever's happening.
yeah. I mean, for me, I don't know if anybody else out there agrees, but what I personally love is when I look at my phone and there's a notification that says, "Oh, you know, pizza started in Pozo or something." I don't have to think. It's just like, "Oh, okay, cool," and you just push a button and you directs you straight to the
It
live
makes sense
stream.
to have an app, doesn't it? It does make sense. And then if you
Yeah, I
follow
think the app's a good idea.
PWA, there could even be a way where, you know, maybe I would probably pay for an app. Maybe they shouldn't charge, but if it helped, if it made a difference, and it was a kind of like a support for the PWA, and it was a way to help fund the live stream, or have like a little, I don't know, maybe the people wouldn't agree to it, but I think it makes sense to have an app if you're interested in it, and you knew it was going to be updated, and you could just go, oh, what's going on at the event, and it would, I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it? I mean, again, this isn't something they haven't thought about. They have talked about it a lot, and I'm not sure why it hasn't happened. There will be a reason. So it's not that, you know, I'm like, oh my God, you've come up with this idea, Ben, of the app. It's not a new idea. They have talked about it, and I'm not sure why that's happened.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
But
this is Maddie. Maddie says if they don't do a doubles live stream, you guys should do an old style radio commentary.
from where? On what?
Yeah, well,
We have nothing to
I was
watch.
just wondering. Yeah, I know, but I was just wondering if there's someone in Maui who's literally can just point their phone at the lineup.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
No. But I mean, like, well, at least we could see what's going on. You know, I don't know. It's a bit.
You say that it's very. Do you need the scores? You need everything. You do need certain things. You need scores, times.
But the scores won't be coming up on the websites.
I guess you're right. They would. Okay, that solves that.
Ooh.
So we could just look at the score and then make up the wave ride. We could like get this like model and be like, oh, it's got a 6-point break. I think he did a goiter.
No, but if we had somebody, like I said, just I don't know.
No, but they've got to be a live stream. I think that can't be right.
Well, look, I know you'd want to be. But this is just
even if
we'll
it was
see.
a webcam, even if it was a wide-ish webcam pointing at the spot, not too wide, but you'd probably be okay, you know, because it's so easy in Maui. It's not really that difficult to film. You know,
like I said, it's the word on the street. So just saying it. So don't turn the TV on and expect it to be on. It might not be.
I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah. So comment here, Philip G. As someone who works in communications, I think PWA should not separate marketing, media, and PR. They need a holistic approach with one head over watching it. Reach is the basis for sponsor deals.
Yeah, the problem is it's like chicken and the egg, and it all costs money to employ these people, and you know, and like I said, it's not just the PWA now; it's the IWT and the PWA. So the PWA are running different events to the IWT. This is kind of a mainly IWT event, even though I think Sarah Jackson's gone from the PWA to do the social media for the PWA. I don't know if she's doing that's where it's confusing. And that is getting ironed out. This is the first year of doing it. There's going to be some teething problems. My guess was they'll have a meeting at the end of this year, talk about maybe like we're doing now, just not online with other people. And then try and iron them out for next year and organize how it's going to go. So if anyone is just tuning in, Marsilio Brown, after the single elimination, is leading the world title race now. Ricciardo needs to come back in the double. Antoine Martin might be right in the mix now. We need to find out that, because he could be right up there, maybe ahead of Ricciardo if Ricciardo loses in the double. So that's interesting. The women, I'm really interested to work out the podiums for the women in the overall. We think Sarah Keita has pretty much won that world title now because she's won the single. Maria Berings and Coco Favreau have got to be right up there in the overall because Maria Andras dropped back. So yeah, it's quite a exciting event. There was some really good conditions. We've all enjoyed it. The stream was pretty terrible when it was glitching out, but when it was working properly, it looked very nice. It looked good. And there was some great commentary from Polikow, Robbie Nash. Love that. That was great to hear their insights. I mean, you can't fault a live stream when you've got those two in it. You know, it was pretty impressive if it wasn't glitching. So yes, there we go. There we go.
Well, there's plenty of comments coming through. It probably won't end, but anyway, we'll see.
This one. Let me just answer this one. Are you covering Japan? I will be going to Japan. I just got my flight covered, even though it's a 5-day event and it's going to take me 4 days to get there and back. So it's 9 days away from home for a 5-day event. But it's the last one of the year. Maciej Rakowski, could he get another world title back to back?
Maciej.
Pretty interesting. It's basically who wins who in that slalom. So that's going to be a good one.
Yep. No, and the live stream in the last few PWA slalom events has been good, hasn't it? What are you talking about live streams? What do you think the Japan one will be like? Any idea? Or
good? Yeah, good. I mean, they've got good internet over there. They did have a problem years ago when the drone was finding some interference when the event started, because there was TV crews and all this stuff. Then it started having some interference. But last year was really good. The drone guy, you have to use a local drone guy in Japan, apparently, but he was really good. So I've got high hopes for Japan. I think it's going to be a good stream.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, that'll be exciting.
What else? Have any other comments we need to go through?
Is there a webcam at Hoakeeper? Ben, just for everyone here, we had a few comments from some well-meaning listeners that we weren't pronouncing Hoakeeper properly. We were saying Hoakeeper, but it's pronounced Hoakeeper. Hoakeeper. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Hang on. I'm just about to tell my missus I'm live.
Oh.
Hold the shopping.
Hoakeeper, but it doesn't really roll off the tongue very easily, does it? So anyway. So now Ben and I make a bit of a funny joke about Hoakeeper.
It's not a funny joke. That's how you say it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying we exaggerate it now. So
I'm not. That's how you say it.
Oh, but you don't go Hoakeeper. There's only one O in between, not like 5.
There's a lot. All right, should we wrap this up?
We're getting delirious.
I've lost it. Okay, so let's see. Let's stay keen. Let's hope and pray that they do a double live stream. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my shit. Or if they don't do a live stream, then there's a good highlights video, which would also be good. A good highlights video could also be really good, but it would need to be all the waves with the scores, and that could be pretty cool.
Well, for sure. But if there's no live stream, who's going to be filming it? So anyway, we'll see what happens. Let's maybe not go to conclusions.
They have to, because otherwise, how are you going to have any video? If you're going to film it, you may as well live stream it. If you've got,
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, fingers crossed, and let's hope that I am completely wrong.
Jump the gun.
Let's be hopeful. Let's be hopeful. Cool. Thank you to everybody out there once again for supporting us, especially myself. Benny is obviously the legend of windsurfing, and I am just like all of you out there, just a fan of windsurfing. So thanks for putting up with me.
He says that, but he did just get some free Ezzy sales.
And actually, I'm now sponsored by Ezzy, and I actually tried one of the sales today for the first time.
Yeah? How was it?
Oh yeah, it was actually great. I used a Tacker. Well, actually, I sent you a picture of a different sail, but then the wind came up and I re-rigged to a 4-1.
Okay.
And it's actually an underrated sail, that Ezzy Tacker. If anyone's out there who's got one, they'll know what I'm talking about. It's got that 3/4 batten on it, which you would think would not sail that great, but you do lose a touch of stability just sailing back and forth. Like, there's no doubt about that. But when you bottom turn, the sail just luffs up so nice. It really depowers. It's in cross shore or cross off. It's a sick sail.
What have they got in their range now? I've lost track with
in wave sails, or
yeah.
Well, there's the Tacker, which is the 3 3/4 batten, the Wave, which is a 4 batten, and they've got the 5 batten one, which I never buy. What's that one called?
Sex Panther.
The what?
Sex Panther or something, isn't it? It is.
What's that one called? Oh my god, I really should know, but I never buy it. Hold on, now I'm going to have to quickly go on their website because
I honestly thought it was called
the Zeta.
Well,
that one's like a power wave, like a 5. What's that?
They brought the Zeta back. Interesting.
Oh, they've had, yeah, exactly. That's from the North days, but he's had that for ages. But yeah, that Tacker, the problem with the Tacker as well is it's hard to resell it because it's such a particular sail. So if you buy them and then you try to resell it, it's super hard. They're too, it's like trying to sell an asymmetric board or something. They're pretty particular. But if you have cross shore, cross off, and you ride Ezzies, or you're thinking about giving it a go, that Tacker is pretty good. I rate them. I definitely rate them. So, but anyway, yeah. And also, I saw a comment here. Sorry, it was a bit far up, so I might not be able to find it. But I did see a comment from someone saying they were coming to Geraldton.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, sorry, whoever wrote that comment. I can't find it, but anyway, yep. Geraldton is windy today. I was on a 4-1.
Yeah, don't even go there because Portugal's been terrible. Although there is a really good forecast for Lagos, which doesn't usually work, but it looks epic for Thursday. But for me, that's too far away because it's like this one forecast in the middle of a load of rubbish. And it's like the chances of it staying there are slim, but I'm like crossing my fingers every day. And every day I get up, I check Wingaroo and it's like still there. And I'm like, yeah. We're getting close now that it could start to, end up in the nights. That's the worst forecast where you're looking at it and it's like, it starts to go, no. And then it's like at 3 a.m. till you're like, oh shit. But it looks really good. I've even lined Vilma up to maybe video to do some filming. So I'm like, come on.
Yeah, cool. Are you gonna get a drone or not?
You know what? I've got a story about my drone. I bought a drone. It was like end of financial year. There's a deal came on the drone website, the DJI website, and I thought, and I bought this was ages ago. I bought name some drones, DJI ones, Air something, Air.
Yeah, the Air. It's called the Air.
Air, or whatever.
Air.
Air
the
2.
Mavic Air. Mavic
Air 2 or something like this.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to buy it. So I bought it. The next day, obviously, there was a deal on for a reason because the next day, as soon as I bought it, the Air 2S came out. And then I read all the reviews and they're like, it's just absolutely way better than the 2S. So I was like, I was already gutted. And then I flew it. And then I realized when you're flying it, you can't film yourself. So then you have to rely on someone else to film you, which that's quite hard when you've just spent a load of money on a drone. You give it to someone else to film. You're like, oh, God. So then that didn't really happen. So then it's just been in the cupboard gathering dust. So then, after the long story short, then Johannes, after the summer, kind of motivated me with his drone flying. And I was thinking, I was hanging out with him a bit. So I was thinking, okay, right, I'm going to go home, going to get the drone, going to go and smash out some good footage. I'm going to get good. So I get home. I gave Johannes a lift and he was here and he's like, let's just put it up. So I get it out of the cupboard. It's not been used for ages. The batteries, he's checking all the batteries and they're like 20%, 30%. And I'm like, maybe we should just charge them or something. This one will be okay. So he puts it in the drone. up in the house, like next to the house. And then I'm standing next to him, and I'm looking at the drone. I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be good. I'm going to get into this. He's going to give me some tips or whatever. So then he looks down at the controller, and then I see the drone literally just go bang, just drop from the sky onto a rock, and then the camera and the gimbal break off. And he looks at me. I'm like, what did you do? Because I didn't do anything. So anyway, we then look into it, and basically it turns out that because the batteries have been sitting for ages, they glitch out a bit, and you can kill a battery by not doing something like this. And anyway, long story short, my drone is broke now, and I have to buy a whole new gimbal camera, which is the most expensive bit of the drone. So
as much as the drone itself.
And then you're like, well, maybe I need to get a new one, because the new ones are way better and they film way more quality. So it's like, do I spend 200-300 euros on that, or do I buy a new drone? And it's like, probably just buy a new drone. But then I'm not using it. So I don't know. I'm kind of annoyed now, because I thought I could at least go and play with this, because I've had it so long. Now I don't care about it. It's like, I don't give it monkeys, but I don't want it totally broke because I can't use it.
Yeah, anyone who's wants to film themselves or other people windsurfing with drones, especially if you're new to it, I just say to them, get a second-hand one, because people buy them, use them twice, and stick them in the cupboard. So they're basically brand new. So just if you're interested, just go. So just if you're interested, and obviously you'll save money by buying secondhand. The other thing too is just on the battery situation. If you're storing it in the cupboard, DJI recommends that the batteries are stored at 60%. So if you're storing them below that, if you store them below or above that, for that matter, like if you store them above, they can sort of expand. I don't know. I've actually had a battery before. I stored it full and I pulled it out, and it wouldn't actually fit in the drone because I don't know, the lithium-ion battery just blows up or something.
My batteries look all right. I'm tempted to charge them and start flying the drone without the camera, just to see if they're totally dead, just before I go buy a new camera, because the batteries.
I mean, well, you can charge the batteries up, and I guess try it out. Oh, okay, cool. But anyway, that's just a little tip that I've learned over the years. Store them at 60%. Was it? Oh, there they are. Yeah, cool. Because the batteries are kind of expensive, so you want to try to salvage them. Yeah, but
broken. Look, no camera.
Yeah, that's annoying, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Let's we'll keep an eye on this on the Aloha. See if we can end up getting any footage or something from there. See what happens.
All right. Fingers crossed.
Cool.
Am I going to end this?
No, I'll end it. All right, guys. Till next time. Thanks again for your support, and take care.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress, in the house is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Cause PWA, we're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.